Here's your chance. You can tell the kids, don't try that at home.
I always say don't try that at home. The theory is right, but what I did after you saw the stance is don't do ever. I'd probably sit down next to you and say, I can't say it on camera. I said, you out of your mind? I said, this is not the way we go about our business. But nobody's ever come out and said anything to me. Like, nobody's come in the paper and say, oh, I saw Bagwell do this. Not one person. I heard somebody say, well, he hasn't sued anybody. Who am I supposed to sue?
Man, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Jeff Bagwell, welcome to Baseball Stories.
Good to be here.
Great to have you here, man. Here we are sitting in Cooperstown, New York. Let's talk a little bit about what got you here. I mean, we're basically up the block from the Hall of Fame. Your plaque is hanging in that gallery, and obviously you were a really talented player and athlete.
This is actually really an unbelievable day. I'm so humbled to be here. To be surrounded by some of the greats that ever played this game.
Beyond pure talent, what do you think it was about you that got you into the Hall of Fame?
It's the biggest thing for me is what was between my ears.
Deion Sanders at the wall, and Bagwell has his first Major League home run.
I was never great. I think I was great in Little League, but we only had like 4 teams. But in Killingworth, Connecticut. But I went through high school, I was good. I had one offer. I didn't even have an offer. Stetson had sent me a letter, but University of Hartford was the only place I got to go. But I knew I could start as a freshman, so that was cool. I got to Cape Cod and things worked out. And the first year I had like 200, and then I did well my second year. But it was just a constant battle for me, and I had to get better and better. It just didn't come that naturally to me. My stance and my swing was funky. I just had to work real hard, and I took other things in the game that were very personal to me, like my base running, my defense. Being a guy in the clubhouse, that was important to me too. I just think that we did such a great job in that clubhouse, and it just translated into what we did.
Astros are going to the 05 World Series. Unbelievable. They're going to celebrate. You bet they are.
As me personally, I had to work hard to get what I did. And I think that made me a better all-around baseball player. I mean, I don't have gaudy numbers.
Look out. I think he's jacked one. He jacked it into the upper deck.
Well, you mentioned your stance. There's something like 150 hitters, approximately, who have plaques hanging in that Hall of Fame. I'm going to say none of the others had a stance quite like yours, right? All spread out.
And they shouldn't.
Feet like 12 feet apart. No. They shouldn't?
They shouldn't. That was not the intent. True story, I was in San Diego, and I asked Tony Gwynn to sign me a bat. And, he had seen me, the whole series and stuff like that. And I was always messing around with what was going on. And he said, to Jeff, keep the same stance. And I said, wow. I said, okay. So if Tony Gwynn said that, who's a lifetime, 33 hitter?
Pretty good.
Yeah, he was okay. I said, I'll try kind of his. I'll spread out a little bit, keep my head still. And then somehow, some way, I came up with whatever I did, which I stepped backwards and my hands dropped to here. I don't know how that came about, but that was the intent.
Right. And I know your teammates used to kid you about that. I remember Biggio saying that you're screwing up a whole generation of kids in Houston. Here's your chance. See, we got a lot of cameras here. You can look into one of these cameras. You can tell the kids, don't try that at home.
I always say don't try that at home. The theory is right, but what I did after you saw the stance is don't do ever, because it's not going to help you.
An incredible season continues as Bagwell hits number 39.
I always felt like being around your teams as much as I was that you and Biggio and Osmus and those guys played every day with a certain mindset. Can you appreciate the way your team changed the culture of your franchise?
Yes.
Your group?
I mean, it wasn't by accident. It's not like Craig and I sat down and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The way we went about it is when you check in through that door, it's ego gone. And you got to play as a team. and there's only one way to play. You know, and part of being in that clubhouse is understanding the players you have around you. I mean, you got 25 guys, 25 different personalities. But when you're out between the lines, there's only one way to play. And if you don't run hard on a pop-up, I'm gonna let you know. That's just the way it is. You know, to be a good leader, you have to make people accountable. You know, if I stunk, I would tell the media, I was awful today. And then when you're good, you deflect it to somebody else. That's just the way it works. And it's not like a planned thing. I've had certain guys that they walk through the door and you look at their eyes and go, man, don't mess with him today. But at 7:05, he played as hard as anybody I've ever seen play. And that was what our culture was. You know, you can call it the Astro way, whatever you call it, but that's the way, when you came in our clubhouse, that's how we played, and we played to win.
Let's just pretend I'm some dopey guy that just gets called up, and I hit a blooper to right field, and I assume it's going to be caught, and then all of a sudden it drops and it bounces, and I really should be on second base, and I barely get to first base. And now I come back to the dugout.
It's a problem.
What do you say to me
I probably sit down next to you.
in the dugout?
Yeah.
During the game.
Yeah, as soon as you sit down and say, I can't say it on camera. I said, you out of your mind? I said, this is not the way we go about our business. I go, what do you, I'd say, what are you thinking about? I said, where do you get the right to do something like that, assume something is going to happen? You know, it's just, people know that. I saw it this year with our club that it was taken care of, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. And there's certain times to make it a little bit exaggerated, and there's certain times not to. Where you take a kid or something in the clubhouse and just sit down with him next to the locker room and go, just explain to me what you were thinking in that situation. Or after the game, you know, you can sit there, and we're sitting at our lockers, and, you know, Brad and I will be sitting there, and some kid walks by and goes, hey, man, what exactly were you thinking in that situation? Because that wasn't the right thought. But we didn't have that many problems. No. I mean, we had some, though. Some of the kids that come up were a little bit goofy, but they got taken care of real quick.
And the White Sox have won the World Series. And the White Sox celebrate their first title in 88 years.
You guys played in the World Series, didn't win a World Series. Last year, it finally happened. The Astros won a World Series, and I know you were on the field after Game 7, and you didn't play in Game 7, you didn't play in that World Series, but what were those emotions like, considering your connection to the franchise?
It was bittersweet. Actually, I don't even know that's the right word. I was happy jealous.
Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
I was so ecstatic for that team. I mean, it's not often you can walk into a clubhouse and see 25 guys, and every single one of them's great guys, and they all pull for each other, which is like a perfect storm, and they're all really good. And to watch the interaction with those guys, and for me being kind of an old school guy, to watch them go through it and top stepping and all that kind of stuff. You know, at the beginning when I saw Altuve and Correa used to do that a couple of years ago, I was mad. And then through that whole series, for me, it changed the evolution of baseball, how I see it, that it's okay to have some fun, just because watching those guys.
Another of my favorite Jeff Bagwell stats, 400 homers, 200 stolen bases. Yeah. And I know, like, that meant a lot to you.
It did.
You were a soccer star growing up,
yeah.
And your feet were a big part of your game.
Yeah, but this also goes back to my mental part. What my mental part is how I stole bases. It wasn't foot speed.
Runner goes to third. Here's Oliver's throw in the dirt. Bagwell steals it. He's a 30-30 man. First full-time first baseman to hit 30 or more homers and steal 30 or more bases.
Being a first baseman is an added bonus, because it's funny, because most people, they see pitchers come to a set and they're looking over there. There's not one pitcher in the world that can see what you're doing over there at first base. They're going by feel and what the catcher tells them to do. And as a first baseman, you can see posture changes on a pitcher when he's told to throw over. He changes his posture. I see it with our pitchers, and now I see it when I run the bases. But I will tell you, that is probably, of all the stats I have, that's the one I'm happiest about. So I didn't see that one, where it landed, or the one off of Danny Darwin.
You just put your head down.
Because I thought Danny Darwin would hit me in the head the next time up if I looked at it.
He lined to third his first time up. It's a high drive here to left center field. And Bagwell has done it again.
Jeff, let's tell you what. Let's do a little Jeff Bagwell film study. Some magic moments. Start with this one. May 5th, 1991.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Look where this ball lands.
I know, but I mean, I'd hit 15 home runs. I hit, what, 4 in the minor leagues. I wasn't expecting it to go that. But I did hit some balls every once in a while in minor leagues that went a long way, but I didn't expect that.
Now, this is when people didn't know you were going to hit 400 home runs in the big leagues, right?
Nor did number 5 right there. He didn't know that either.
I mean, this ball almost cleared those yellow seats.
I know. So, yeah, it's almost the guy in the orange hat. That's funny.
You think he showed up that day thinking he's going to get a baseball?
No, I don't think so.
Probably not.
But that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the other cool thing that you mentioned was what Bobby Bonilla in left
Bobby
field?
Bonilla, I saw it on a film beforehand, and he was looking back up there going, where did that ball go?
He couldn't believe his eyes. It's like 1,000 feet higher than him.
I'm shocked by that too. But I hit another one on Danny Darwin up there.
I know you did.
So I didn't see that one where it landed or the one off of Danny Darwin
So you just put your head down.
because I thought Danny Darwin would hit me in the head the next time up if I looked at it. I swear.
Probably right about that.
Dr. Death, heck yeah.
All right, now let's take you back to July 18th, 2001, playing the Cardinals, and a cycle busted out. Take a look. This is the single, Mike Matthews.
Mike Matthews lefty. There goes Craig scoring for me.
We've seen this before.
Yeah, I've seen that part.
All right. Okay, now this is the double Luther Hackwell.
That's a double.
Yeah, how is this only a double?
Oh, yeah, hit off the top of the wall up there.
Good thing you stopped at second.
Yeah, Edmonds would have thrown me out.
You were already thinking cycle.
yeah.
Now this is the same inning. This is home run off Gene Steckschulte.
Yeah.
So how many guys hit a cycle and get 2 extra base hits in 1 inning?
I don't know, but that works. Looks like a 3-run homer, too.
Yeah. So you had yourself a very
Had a good
productive
day.
inning.
Yeah.
And then the fun part is it leaves you a triple away
It always
from the
happens like
cycle.
that. It's always the triple have to be the last one.
And here comes Andy Bettis in to serve it up. You know this was
How
a triple
funny.
off the bat?
Well, if it rolls that long and takes that long to get there, I got a shot. Oh, yeah, I made it easy.
Yeah, like the amazing part about this all the time to me is guys who need a triple for the cycle. You'd hit 1 triple all year. You had like 2 in 3 years or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you get the triple to complete the
I
cycle.
know,
How
it's
does
crazy.
this happen?
I don't know. I think I must have had a good year that year. That might have been 2000. Everybody was asking me if I wanted the ball. I'm like, no, I don't want that ball. I don't think I ever got a ball.
Wait, you
Like
didn't
people have
ever
given
get
me
a ball?
No, like I've never taken a ball off the field.
None?
None.
400th homer? Nothing?
No, they have to give it to me. So I've never taken a ball off the
Okay.
field. Never stopped the game to get a ball.
All right, let's go back to 2004. Now we'll set the scene. It's Game 6 of the NLCS. You're up 3-2 on the Cardinals, so 1 win away from the World Series, but you're also 1 out away from losing. It's 2 out in the ninth. Let's take a look. Who we got here, man?
Isringhauser, some sort of cutter. It didn't cut.
Yeah, and now look at this.
Yeah, that was great. The only real problem with that is it was very short-lived because I think Edmonds was up next inning.
Yeah, so that's kind of the good news, bad news portion of this hit. It must have felt at the time like one of the
That was
biggest
great.
hits you'd ever
Oh,
got.
it was probably. I mean, if you look at it, I think even they said it on there. That's the biggest hit of your life, and it was. That was a fun series. That was a good team we had in 2004.
Yeah,
really good team.
I thought that was the team.
Yeah,
And
that team was better than 2005.
one more. 2005 World Series. Your shoulder was killing you. You couldn't play, but you're in Chicago, so you could DH.
Right.
And let's see what happened.
Yeah, this is the good one. See that cut right there?
I did.
Well, the night beforehand, Bobby Jenks came in to face me, and I was on deck and sitting there with Jason Lane, and Bobby Jenks is warming up, and I went, damn, that dude throws hard, because I'd never seen him before. And I got up there, and he was throwing that cut fastball that I got to hit in the strike zone there, up. That was at 99 with cut.
Yeah.
And they asked me after the game, do you think you shouldn't have pinch hit? Or you think you shouldn't have hit in that situation? I said, I don't care if it was Babe Ruth. Nobody was hitting that at 99 with a 6-inch cut on it.
But the reason we wanted to show this was, I mean, this turned out to be the only World Series hit that you ever got. I mean, all those great teams, all those hits.
Yeah.
At least you had this.
I do, and I do, and thanks for saying that because it makes me feel better now. But honestly, it's the same thing as I told you about last year about the bittersweet thing with the Astros. The 2005 was the same way for me. I couldn't play how I wanted to play, because of my shoulder and all that kind of stuff. And then we lost, but it was great to get there, but I was not really a part of the whole thing, as I felt, you know, being an everyday guy and all that. So it was kind of a weird deal, but I do have a hit in the World Series, which is cool.
All right, and that was your very last hit.
That was it.
Wow. So think about it. You waited all those years to get to World Series, and then how ironic is it? The very last hit of your career was in a World Series.
It was. It was. It's neat. I mean, I'm glad I got there. It just went real quick, and it wasn't quite the way I wanted to do it, but for the city, it was really cool. It is what it is. You know, in my life, with all the things that I've been through in my life, things happen, and you deal with them, and you either go one way or the other.
Line down toward the right field corner. It'll go up again. Out of here! Out of here! Out of here!
All right, so we've established, I mean, you had great numbers. It took you 7 elections to get into the Hall of Fame. How agonizing was that?
Not really. I mean, with all the, you know, the steroid stuff and all that kind of stuff, it was like whatever. But I mean, I had personal stuff that I had to go through in my life, you know, where my focus really wasn't on that. And, you know, to be honest with you, I can't control me getting into the Hall of Fame. I did what I did, and that's it. That's all I can control. And for me in my life, there was more important things, if that sounds weird, that I had to clean up in my life to be able to enjoy all this, which I have and which has made great. And I really don't care that it took that long. I mean, it's like me when I came here last year. I'm like, man, I can't even see me here. But then as I kind of settle into this, I'm like, I'm okay. I deserve to be here. And I know that. But it did take 7 years. But that's just part of that group of players back then. That's what happened.
I know you said something to this effect to our mutual friend Richard Justice of MLB.com, covered the Astros when you were there. You asked him, are all the players of my generation who do anything going to be under this cloud of suspicion? Is that what it felt like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the only generation that there was no good players. They had to be on something else. I mean, we couldn't be good on our own. And I think that's unfair. But I get it. I know how the world works, and I know how there's such a blow, especially in baseball, because the stats here are so cherished. And I get that.
Right.
But I can't concern myself with that, but I just don't think it's fair to just throw everybody under one cloud. Yeah, have there been stuff? Yes. I mean, am I naive to that? So I know those things are going to be said and all that. You know, I know what I've done. I know how I got there. I know that it kind of makes me laugh. I mean, like, nobody's ever come out and said anything to me. Like, nobody's come in the paper and say, oh, I saw Bagwell do this. Not one person. I heard somebody say, well, he hasn't sued anybody. Who am I supposed to sue? Nobody said anything about it. I looked like I took them. My stats, if you look at when I'm younger, at 1994, when I hit 39 home runs, I was, 195? And then towards the end of my career, I was 215. We look at all the players when they're 23 years old. When they turn at 36, they're a little bit heavier. I cared what I looked. I mean, whatever, man. You know, and I'm not trying to. I understand, and I'm okay with that. I mean, my life is so much more than having to listen about that kind of stuff. I know what I did, and the most important thing is my teammates know what I did. They saw me do my work, and I just know that sometimes it's tough just to throw guys into a pot and say, well, had to have done this. Like, we're the only generation that couldn't be good.
Yeah, you know, one time I asked Rob Manfred if you could give any advice to the writers about how to handle that era, what would it be? And he said, if I were you, I would draw a clear line between guys where there is proof and guys where you're just guessing. Mm-hmm. And you think that's eventually what happened in the cases of you, Piazza? I wouldn't leave their names, right? You know the deal.
I guess. And you know what? I'm not stupid either. I know it's hard for you guys. I do. There's pressure from all over the place about, well, you can't do that. He might be. And I think that's the only way you probably can do it. I don't know. I don't even know what the answer is. Yeah. I mean, you look at it this year, it was nice. Nobody had to talk about any of that stuff.
Right.
But it's just part of the deal. And I know it's tough on you guys, too.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because the Hall of Fame conversation used to be a baseball conversation, and now it's turned into something else. And I know that's no fun for us. It sounds like it's no fun for you.
With all the hard work that I put in my life, I mean, I laugh nowadays. You see guys posting these videos on TV, them lifting weights, and wow, man, he's in great shape and all that kind of stuff. Man, I was doing that in the early 90s, but I didn't have anything to post it on, nor would I ever post something like that. So now it's cool to do that, but back in the 90s and 2000s, it wasn't. He must have been taking something. So I find that funny. So I'm just wondering, this was refreshing this year not to hear it, even though I was part of that last year. And, you know, it is what it is. You know, in my life, with all the things that I've been through in my life, things happen, and you deal with them, and you either go one way or the other. I choose to go positive. But I think it does take away, the last few years that's all the talk has been up to this, and it gets frustrating. That being said, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, it is what it is. You can think all you want. There is no proof, as you said. There's never going to be proof, and you just deal with it. You know, there's always going to be that talk about that era. That's the way it was. You know, whether it's right or wrong, it is. I feel bad because how great, as you talked about, how great this whole thing is here, and how wonderful the Hall of Fame, to see these dudes up here that I was with last night. Baseball's all right.
There's a drive way back into left. Bagwell has gone deep, and I mean it was way up over the green monster.
Here would be my last question for you. When other people tell the story of Jeff Bagwell, what would you want them to say?
You know what? I've said this all along, and I believe I said it in my speech too. The only thing I care about is my teammates, what they thought of me. I've had, you know, when I got in last year, you know, everybody had a whole bunch of teammates saying stuff about me and all that. There was one teammate that made me the happiest. It was Adam Everett. He said, no matter what, if Baggy was there, we knew we were okay.
Wow.
And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That I was present for them, and I was out there with them no matter what, and I'd make it okay for everybody. That's all I want. That means the most to me, more than even this. I mean, it's very important for me, my teammates, because these are people that you hang out with a lot. And if they could rely on me, then I was doing okay by them.
And that's the story of Jeff Bagwell. You were there for the people around you.
That's all I wanted to be. Just want to be a good teammate. Know they can count on me.
It's awesome. Jeff, thank you for joining us on Baseball Stories, man.
Thanks, Jason. Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Enjoyed it.